order the meeting of the Public Arts Commission for the City of Apache Junction. Today's date is March 11th, 2024, and time is 5:34. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's okay, Gretchen. Rudy, roll call, please.
Chairman Danford. Here. Vice Chair Klett.
Here.
Commissioner Lanza.
Here.
Commissioner Meek.
Here.
Commissioner Smithson.
Here.
All present. We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Cool. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Rudy, roll call, please.
Commissioner Smithson.
Yes.
Chairman Danford.
Yes.
Vice Chair Klett.
Yes.
Commissioner Lanza.
Yes.
Commissioner Meek.
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Cool. Announcement of artwork. Does the commission have any artwork to discuss? I'm not sure where this falls in. Just a reminder, there is a studio tour by the Artists of Superstitions this week. It's their Spring Fling tour. They're going to have 50 artists gathered together at 10 different studios, and they'll be selling everything from homemade jewelry to photography, clay, woodwork, and paintings. So if you get a chance, go by and see some awesome work. It's going to last for 3 days. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Public hearings. Next item is public hearing. Presentation, discussion, and recommendation to City Council of case P-23-128-Art, a proposed art mural. Erica?
So the artist will be making her presentation.
Oh, okay.
Well, hi, everyone. I am Paige Reister. Give me a second as I try to go. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, easy slide. So a little bit about me. I am going to be doing a mural for the Apache Trail apartment, but I want to kind of go a little bit into what I do first. So I have been out here for 11 years in Arizona, and actually Apache Junction's where the reason why I came out here first. I did 3 years of art education out here at the middle school at Cactus Canyon. So that's where I first kind of started, basically creating a home base here for Arizona. And over the last few, 10 years, I was doing public teaching, and then now I'm also doing art full-time now. So with my mural business, it's evolved, especially the last 3 years, where I have grown really, really large. I would say I've started doing work with Amazon, Lululemon, which is a athletic company, the Phoenix Suns, and the Mercury. Steve Aoki, which is like a music DJ, Mac Cosmetics, and then I even did the Celebrity Theater, where I did a mural in there as well. So that's my main job that I'm doing now. It really, first started off with being an educator. I also used to do wine and paint nights, so if I can do a giant mural, it all comes from being able to teach middle schoolers and, adults that would drink. So if I can do that, I can definitely do a large-scale wall as well. So,
Little flexible purpose
yes.
going on there.
you have a lot of moving parts. So painting a wall privately by yourself that's easy right there.
I
So
used to teach some of those wine and paint classes. Yeah, they were a challenge.
yeah,
Especially as the night wore on and the wine bottle got
a little bit more, and they felt like, why doesn't it look like me? I'm like, well, you've been drinking more than painting. So, so when it comes to my business, usually my message is big ideas, big art. So walls speak louder with murals. So the idea is when you have a wall and then you add a mural to it, it really brings life. And especially I really like the idea of bringing community. I think Apache Junction bringing some kind of mural and help with bringing something within the community. I feel like a lot of my designs I came up with will really help, not help, but is part of your, vision to your community as well. So, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just show you first just some of my own portfolio before we kind of go into the rest of the murals. So, kind of show how fast-paced my work is. These are, of course, smaller murals. These, I would say, are large-scale paintings. But both of these I finished in a day, so about max 8 hours, probably 5 to 8 hours, usually mostly with spray paint for all of those as well. So, and they were all live events where I had to have people watch as this is all happening. So everyone had to watch these. So these were pretty fun. The one on the right, you can actually go see, well, actually, sorry, it actually ended, but it was at the Tempe Festival of the Arts as well, so you could have saw it this weekend as well. Does anyone have any questions? I have a couple, actually quite a bit of slides, but do you have any kind of points on this one before we kind of move on to the other portfolio?
Anybody?
So here, I'm just kind of going over, I'll probably go over these a little bit more quickly. These are more residential murals that I've done, even though I do a lot more B2B, where it's more client-based, small business. I have done some for residential, where I focus on a lot of landscapes, trying to focus on a lot of that high detail. This wall ended up being about a 40-foot mural for this one. And smaller one right here, a lot of tropical landscapes for that one, trying to focus on the scenery. A lot of these I had to do was get approval from the client in order to be able to start these. So this one right here is about a 30-foot by 11-foot high one, another residential mural where focusing on, of course, cactus, landscapes. Most of these were done, I feel like this wall right here in this section probably only took me about a week to make. So I can really work at a pretty fast pace when it comes to doing murals. My idea is try to do everything very efficiently. So it's not like all of a sudden this project is taking 6 months to do. I try to do it at a fast pace so that it's not like, what's happening? This mural is looking a little off, This was one of my first murals that I started doing with my business. This is actually a permit that I had to do within the city of Tempe. And this was with the Believe I Can Academy. They are a school where the students actually got to vote on all the figures here. And we kind of got to vote. I got to collaborate and figure out where to put each of the figures. And we created a giant Believe. So you can see this on rural in Tempe. So this one was a really cool piece. One thing I did like about it is that we did have some of the students get involved. They helped a little bit with the background painting, just so they could get involved with the mural itself. This is just another mural. This is about 15 foot high, so this is where I had to work on a very scary ladder for that one. I really like to work with a lot of bright colors, a lot of Southwest. I like to really kind of create the themes around that as well for my paintings. Another residential mural. This one's a little bit more minimal. It's usually not what I normally do, but I was trying to work with what the client was kind of interested in. But I really like the idea of waves. This was a pretty large, it's about 70 foot for this one, for their backyard. But then I really try to focus on having a lot more detail work right in the middle of this with the cactuses and just basically desert life as well. Now this is more of my business, working with my business. This is actually, with businesses B2B. This is a mural that I did for a dentist, and their theme was called Big Apple Dentistry. The dentist did work he got his residency in New York, and so we just kind of pulled together a lot of the items that made him what he felt like New York was and put it together, and of course has this little tooth boy, so I really love doing this one and for this business and really kind of trying to figure out how I can bring a sense of community into that business. And their business has been really thriving because they use a lot of this for social media. The families reposted a lot, and so they've actually been doing really, really well, they said, from probably just having this mural up, because it gets reshared a lot, and the kids actually really like it. So they made, I also made a coloring page where I redrew the tooth so the kids then could draw their own mural on the coloring page as they waited at their dentist office. So it's kind of figuring out like how else can you bring just not only the mural, but like bring it to where like everyone can be involved in the art process. This was just a quick mural that I did at Oak Street in Phoenix. It's in the Coronado neighborhood. It's the murals that are ever changing. So probably, I did this about a year ago. It's probably gonna actually get painted over and repainted. So it's like those evolving mural. So, and that one I got to play around with a little bit because usually using a lot of fluorescent hot pinks tend to fade very fast in the sun, even with UV light. So now seeing this, actually the pinks are a little bit lighter. So, but I knew it was gonna be ever changing for this one. So I wanted to use that time to kind of experiment and to see, how we can push my murals a little bit more. This is another residential mural, just trying to focus on a lot of, Arizona landscapes, cactuses, just kind of a small snippet of that as well. This is for a business. So this was actually a 17 tall mural. So where the line, that's where it's 17, and then it probably goes up to like 20 for the rest of it. So this one, we were kind of playing around with pulling in, juxtaposition to desert and like oasis beach scene. Very, a little bit more abstract, but really enjoyed doing a lot of the colors with it. Working with a lift, a lot of the machinery that you have to work with as a muralist. For this project that we won't need that. I think we have the max height is 6 feet. That's a step stool right there.
Without a parachute? Did you work without a parachute?
A parachute for that one? No, I didn't do a parachute. We were all locked in for that one. So, and also I love heights. So like for me, I'm like, this is so much fun for me to feel like, I'm like, oh yes, I'm like, let's go up. So. And then even though I do a lot of landscapes, my first love is always portrait work. I really love to do portrait work. Now, what we're going to be doing for the cactus or the Apache Trail apartment, we probably won't be doing portraits, but I will probably be looking at maybe doing some animal life so you can kind of see a little bit more of the detail here. So I have Cesar Chavez right here, Frida Kahlo, and I did a bunch of celebrities from the 80s and 70s with Prince, Madonna, and Biggie at a restaurant in Scottsdale as well. So these are super fun, really enjoyed that. This one right here, I would say the height probably ends about my head, probably right where his lips are at. So it's a pretty large scale image for that one. This one I just recently did for Celebrity Theater. So they just did a whole revamping at their location. They did a whole designing at like their bar section. So they wanted to have me do celebrities. So like Stevie Nicks. And what we were doing with this is we were playing around with it. Actually, I only had black and white photos to work from. And they actually told me to try to make it into color, which I think from a non-artist, they think, oh, that would be easy. You just have to like then compare. They have to look at a lot of photographs that with their color tone. It can be a little bit challenging, but I think I nailed it very well. And then we kind of just played around with different backgrounds, of course, with a little bit of a 70s feel in the background for this one. So I really enjoyed those. I would say my height of these, I was probably about right here, where I stand. So it's probably about 10 feet tall for these pieces. And I got these done with one assistant. I got these done in a week. So all three of these. The assistant usually just did a quick, they just helped with blocking. So they didn't do any of the portraits. They just helped me a little bit with the background, just getting it flat, and then I painted any of the shading over that. And then other brands I've worked with, although this is not technically a mural, the size of it is, I did for the Phoenix Suns and Mercury team, where they wanted me to do their VPs. I really love doing this one with my portrait work. The backgrounds, I would say, is probably from a style I used to do. I actually don't do a lot of abstract work anymore, but for the Phoenix Suns, kind of going with their colors and adding a splash of it was super fun and interesting to do, but my main work is focusing on those portraitures as well. And then other brands I've worked with was Amazon. They just wanted me to work on their logos that they had in one of their facilities. And then Lululemon, which is an athletic company, and they had a big 10K race at the Scottsdale Fashion Square where they, where they actually had this and turned this into a piece that was where the runners would actually take like their sticker and they would like mark on a map where they were all from as they came to Scottsdale for this race. So that was actually became a little bit more of an interactive mural for this one. And then with my work, how we get to these large scale murals that I do, I usually do a lot of digital mock-ups. So on the right here is my digital mock-up, and then this is the final piece. So you can see that what you see is what you get. I really try to focus as almost about 95% accuracy with my digital mock-ups so that whatever client I'm working with, you are gonna get what you are drawing out, and knowing that if I make any changes, that I get approval from that first. So digital mock-up, then to the final mural.
Do you do a grid?
Grid on the mural?
Yeah, to get
Yes.
transferring, you just
Yeah,
pick the style.
there's so many different forms. There's like doodle grids. There are where you actually grid it out, but there's also like in the muralist thing we call it doodle grids, where we actually make a bunch of doodles and then we impose it on in our iPad. Yep.
Oh,
So
okay.
it makes it faster instead of spending hours of perfectly precising that. Also, I have done like projection at night where we actually put a little bit of some, for the wall that we would be working with, because we're gonna have a larger mural. We'll probably have to go in sections if I do that, but I probably gonna do a doodle grid for mine.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, another, of course, this is an Airbnb, of course, with a Scottsdale sign on it. So not normally something I do, but sometimes you just have to do it for the client, what they want. So here is where we're going to start going into the project a little bit. I don't know if Tim, if you want to kind of start off with a little bit of just prior knowledge before I go into the art part.
Yeah, sure. Tim Doherty, landscape architect with Studio DPA. So I'm here on behalf of 29th Street Capital, the developers of the project. So the site is at the southwest corner of Broadway and Tomahawk. It's about 20 acres. The project will be a build-to-rent community. I think you were calling it apartments, but it's more build-to-rent. Close. So on our entries for the project will be along Broadway. So you can kind of see the red icon there centered. That would be the main entry into the community, and then the secondary entry is the one to the east. And this is kind of why we originally thought that eastern wall would be optimal for a mural. It's not entangled in the community theming and branding as you come in. It faces onto Tomahawk. It has a more public exposure and feeling public, not, part of the residential design of this community. So the wall is about 350 feet long. They've actually started construction on the walls along Broadway right now. I just drove by there coming out. So they haven't done the Tomahawk Road wall yet. We're just waiting to get final word on this mural. And then it's going to be sitting behind the drainage wash. I think it's Weeks Wash or Meeks Wash. So there's a bunch of riprap out there that if you go by there, you'll see a lot of the riprap out there. And that's the other thing. At first we were like, what are we gonna do with this? Because it looks like a very engineered facility. And it's like, now with the mural, now you have visibility onto it. Normally as a landscape architect, we'd go in and plant it and landscape it. But because it has a engineering element now, sort of lends itself to high visibility onto the mural. So I think it's a really good location. It's set back about 80 feet off Tomahawk. And 60 of it will be, approximately 60 of it will be that drainage structure. As Paige was saying, it's a 6-foot CMU wall. And I think that's kind of the context for it.
So the mural is about 350 feet long then?
And with this, I'm going to kind of show you some of like light mock-ups, and then we can go to that one. So this is what I as a kind of team and the, I guess it's technically rent to own. Is that the built to rent? That's what the one that they decided, but I also came up with a bunch of other sketches. So this kind of first theme that I have here is I was just trying to do a bunch of close-ups so you can see really from the distance, vegetation with cactus, blooms, and then having kind of a desert scene in the background. And then that's like the main focus with the animals. Like I'm thinking of hummingbirds. Eventually you'll see someone with javelina, Gila monsters, just trying to have something that when you think of Arizona, you're thinking of all those animals with it. And then each of those close-ups, eventually it will kind of fade out to being a little bit more minimal with the work, and then going back to another visual image with that. So this is just like how the mock-up of this would kind of look like on a larger scale. So I'm gonna go show you some close-up images of these first, but where you have these more detail-oriented spaces, and then kind of more of these wavy desert, kind of like abstract versions. And then with the landscapes that I'm gonna be, like if I'm gonna have like a lot of the cactuses, I kind of wanna also play around with what we are gonna use as plant life, because if, I don't know, I feel like it'd be kind of cool to be like, if we have a cactus here, then like making sure I'm kind of like playing with the cactus, the physical, the real one. Yeah, so I really wanna be able to, yeah, really playing with that. I think that would be really a well thought out plan if you're doing with the cactuses kind of going over down there. So, so here's our visual effect. I know it might seem like a really big wall. So here's my little person over here. This is my size. But here is where we're gonna kind of try to bring in some closer images of this. So here's kind of like a close-up image of, a javelina, a hummingbird, and some of the cactuses. Some of the things that I will definitely probably be working on as a muralist, although I feel like I'm originally a fine artist, so I feel like a lot of times when I paint, I really focus on not having a harsh line usually at the, the edge, but for a muralist, sometimes you need to have a darker line work so you can see it from far away. So making sure that I'm having that line work, more graphic a little bit. So it's like I have that where I try not to do that, and then I probably add it just because it makes it pop. So usually my fine artist part of me is like, ooh, that hurts, because I usually do not want to have that harsh edge, but I will usually do that for when I do my murals. So yeah, it's like everything's realistic, and then I just kind of go back with a bold line, and it really does read better from the distance, and distance is really, really important when you're looking at a mural. Really, those fine details, it's not really meant from close up, it's meant from far away too. So yeah, I really love the colors of this one. I think the colors are definitely would stand out. It makes you really think of, I think, Arizona. The colors are really bright. Some things we might want to be considering is some of the yellows. Those tend to fade a little bit faster with UV light. So we might even, we might want to consider maybe doing either a darker shade or maybe slightly doing different shades for these ones. I was trying to focus on more like what I think of Arizona but if we need to slightly change colors to kind of make sure the longevity of the mural, I'm okay working with that, and I think your team as well is okay with working with that as well. Because it just, sometimes yellows can just fade a little bit faster. Visually it looks great, but for murals I want to make sure that the longer the better for that. So if you can go back to, so this was the original ones that we were thinking. So these are right here. So these are kind of just like the mock-ups, and these are still sketches. I just didn't put them on the other ones because it just was So this is a second option that I really like as well. Even if we even combined some of the two elements where we take, this image and maybe on the blue. The nice thing about the blue does is out of all the colors, blue tends to not fade as fast. Blue can last 20 years very, very well with it when it comes to a mural. So, and I do like a lot of the mountain ranges that I do think look a lot like the mountain ranges around here as well. But I think I would like more color in the middle. Even though I came up with this, I always try to give a lot of options when it comes to doing mural work. And then these were kind of a couple other directions. I kind of like this one, but I feel like it's a little, boring. And then I think this might be a little too funky for Apache Junction, in my opinion, with having portraits and faces like that. So those were kind of where I feel like I made it, but I'm not in love with it, where I feel like these two options are my favorite to work with. Yeah, they're more me. And I think they're also not only just me, but I think they're also what's good for Apache Junction too. So.
I can see why you made your decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, I'm an artist too, so I'm critiquing you and looking at your stuff a bit. But I really like the way that's a long space, and we all have to consider, like you were saying, longevity. So when you've got those neat little detail things, that's terrific. But you've got to fill that whole space. And so by using the simplified graphics of the waves of the desert and those colors stacked like that, those are going to be easier if you want to go back in sometime and maybe repaint some of it or bring some of it back.
Yeah, to life.
Back up again, to life again.
Well, yeah, and that's where we were saying I would be able to work with 5 years where they can have me come back and do touch-ups, and anything after that we would just probably have to add on a certain fee to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to touch up this little detail thing on this year.
Well, especially
I'll touch up this when it's laid out thoughtfully like
Yeah.
that.
Well, especially, yeah, and that's actually what I was thinking was if we do these lighter colors, hey, I know in 10 years we probably will need to get a touch-up of, color right here. These might probably last longer with being a little more saturated of color, but those can be a quick go back and just go get that color in too as well. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I apologize. Can you speak into the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The
Is that
audio
better?
back, the room is not
Better
working.
there?
I apologize.
oh, it's all good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
And although I know it says we haven't gotten to the materials yet of all of them, but we were also looking into either A, doing a UV protection, or B, what I think would be the better one, it would be an anti-graffiti sealant. Though it's technically a boat sealant. I've worked with them before in the past, and they're a little bit thicker, but the nice thing about it is if anything gets graffitied on it, you can actually do a kind of like a power wash and a scrub, and you probably will need to reapply it, but it really, I have done it with actually my Cesar Chavez one. That one is in an area of Phoenix that has a lot of graffiti, and I wonder if we can go back to that one. But it's actually, since we have that wall will get graffitied all the time, so we have done it. I did it about a year ago, and we put the anti-graffiti. It's been lasting well, but actually since we've put a mural up, actually no one's touched it for the last year. So I don't know what, they say, from what I was told by the community coming up to me, they're like, when it's good art, we don't graffiti that area. So,
That's too bad. Makes total sense.
So actually even though we actually have the anti-graffiti on it, there has not been any damage, and it's been a full year since that last time.
And so the boat stuff's like a resin? that
Yeah,
you
it's
can-
like,
you
yeah,
can
it's a
sand it
very-
back
it's-
up and then bring it back
Yeah,
up.
it's actually very, very thick. Like some other sealants are more kind of milky, where it's like, and then this one's like, it's pretty thick when you work with it. But you just slightly, I find rolling is the best. I don't like spray with it. Spray tends to get a little too, spray could work well with the UV sealant, but the graffiti one, it just doesn't work well. So yeah, just hand rolling. I know it seems like a long time, but it works the best.
It's almost like a polyurethane.
Yes.
That you can put on. The neighborhood I live in, we have electrical boxes by the city, by SRP all over the community, and we have a graffiti issue, and we recently had them repainted we recently had them repainted, and we went for the anti-graffiti on it, and it seems like it's really working well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, yeah. So I feel like it's been working very well for like other things that I've worked with, but like I said, since I've had that one mural, no one's touched it. So I think
true.
that's
If people respect it
Yeah.
and like it, and it does reflect the community, they tend not to.
yeah, tend not to. So yeah, they're like my client that was working. He's like, man, that was the best investment ever. He's like, I had to like repaint that wall. Like he's like said weekly usually. Like it would be just small tagging here and there. He's like it's been actually really nice. I don't have to do anything with that wall. So when it comes, so I think for the most part we kind of gone over everything. I would love to kind of have any more feedback that you have with where can we go back to your I would love any kind of feedback, anything, if there's like a final decision, or where would you like to kind of go with when it comes to these?
My biggest concern here, and I've been following your work for years, I love your work. We have one of the best landmarks in the entire state of Arizona,
You can't put the
right out there, and I don't see that reflected on these murals.
Yeah.
I see a lot of mountains, and I see a lot of hills, but I don't see anything that says, "Wow, that's the superstitions."
And no superstitions, no gold fields. The first mountain that I see there reminds me of my road trip through Utah, actually.
It looks more like mountain. Well, it reminds me. The top one reminds me of Monument Valley.
It is Monument Valley.
Yeah.
It's the mittens, and so I agree with them, and I was going to mention it as well. It's great for a thumbnail, but it doesn't. You can't advertise another monument when we're trying to advertise our mountain.
I mean,
And
most-
but I
most-
do find the bottom ones when we get snow up there and some of that's clouds up there.
Kind of things of Four
It
Peaks.
does sort of look like that. It has more of those angles. Yeah, I think, and if you took pictures of it in different spots, you'll see that first there's the main silhouette that we all know, but as a creative person, if you got bored with that, I bet you could find where you could go in and just do the praying hands, or you could pick out some of those weavers, some of those features, and that would give you more to work with, so that you're not just stuck with the traditional silhouette, I think.
One of my concerns here is I follow the public input on a lot of, or public commentary on a lot of the stuff that we do, plus things I see around town. And I know one of the biggest things that's gonna come up is, where's our mountains? Because that's the reason why probably 60% of us moved here is for that mountain out there. And I think it'd be nice if we could, I don't mean the whole thing with the supers in the background, but if we could put an identifiable supers in there, like maybe, like she said, the weaver's needle or the praying hands, or the flat iron, something that people would go, wow, that is the supers. I think that would go a long way to public acceptance of it.
Maybe also Four Peaks.
Four Peaks.
That's
yeah.
another
Four
very
Peaks wouldn't be bad,
recognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
could
pretty
even put
recognizable.
a little bit of one of the lakes, like Canyon Lake or Apache Lake in there too, because they're right on that line, 88.
And I even think like not only in this area is where I think that can be an easy fix for me. Doing a background
Would be a
change.
I think, as I'm looking at it, I bet it would.
It would not take me that long to fix. And even I know I was kind of focusing more on waves, but I wouldn't even mind having a couple like silhouettes kind of certain landmarks on some of these too as well. I think that would be really,
From your fine art days, that if you're doing a painting for sale, if you're selling prints or something, you don't want a specific thing. You don't want people to go, oh, wow, I live in Hawaii and that's a picture of Utah. But when you're doing a mural here that's designed for this community, I think we need to look at superstitions, maybe Four Peaks. But those two are really readily recognizable. Everybody knows what those are.
I can agree with you on that. So yeah, I would love, if we can do another design mock-up, I'm happily to do that because I actually think that'd be much better too as well.
And I've seen your work on Facebook, and not like where people have posted murals of the backyard stuff. And I just when you showed it up there, I'm like, I've seen her stuff before.
Thank you.
I've
Thank
seen
you.
it floating around here.
Is there any other kind of feedback that you guys might have, or things that you are liking? I know that you, Gretchen, talk about things that you like, but just kind of making sure that I'm kind of making sure I'm going in that direction for you guys.
I like the color combinations on option 2, the blue. One reason is southwestern area where we live, common colors are teal, rust, tan, brown. And I think the blue kind of stands out and says, we're something different. This is different. And I think it attracts a lot of more of attention. And I was interested in your comment that it has a lot, lasts about 20 years, the blues with a coating on it. You got that longevity there. I think that design would be more, we're gonna get some people griping about it, but I think overall it would be well received. Because it does stand out, and this could be one of those things that you'll see on the news or somebody, check this mural out. So I do like the blues.
This is why we vote for stuff, because I'm looking at it, and I like, I'm looking at it, and it looks like a wall mural where the other colors have kind of faded out,
Yes.
and the blue was
That's your
left.
issue too.
Yeah. And a lot of us
But I
also,
do like the blue, but I wouldn't want to, I would want a little less, like if you were doing that blue in those little windows where we're looking through the plants, and then your silhouettes were blue in there, but it was framed by some of those other colors. And again, we're gonna vote for this, and so we're just throwing spit at
There's
you.
5 votes here.
And I do, like you're saying though, I do like the distinctive difference of that blue and those sharp, I like the sharp silhouettes and the way the blue gives depth of field, and there's like little pockets that make it look 3D and give it depth. So
You might be at a
I'm not saying get
disadvantage here
rid of
right
it
now because
completely.
we're both artists.
Yeah, we're gonna
And-
critique,
and-
it.
and we're-
We're really giving her a chance.
And we're
Yeah.
critiquing this from an artist standpoint.
Yeah.
if you look
So
at the
we're gonna
pictures that sell really well, like up at Superstition Mountain Museum, they're the sunset pictures. They're the bright pinks. They're the pictures of the superstitions that we all chose to live here because we saw it at sunset. And our sunsets are fabulous here. The colors might not last as long, but we'll get a lot less grief in the beginning. And if we can figure out a way to maintain the colors.
Yeah, and I think just if the idea that being able to come back and like do a quick like freshen up, sometimes with that graffiti sealant, that can really help and make that last a lot longer. And also the position of the sun, I think by noon it's not getting beat on anymore. I think it will be, so that's also a really good.
You said a key thing, what other people expect, which brings back to us. As artists, we have higher expectations, or we have maybe more sophisticated expectations sometimes. And we do have to remember as artists that we're trying to reach a mainstream public. So sometimes, on one hand, we want to push them and we want to expose them to new things so that they're not limited and then they're not mainstream. But we also want to be able to pick things that their sensibilities find accepting so that they can absorb it and go on instead of just closing stuff out and saying that's weird. So when people expect traditional things, like you said, you want to bring some of those elements in while you're introducing them to new things. Basically what I'm trying to get at is we don't want to lose sight of the fact that not everybody is as sophisticated. And
I don't think it's an issue of being sophisticated. I think it's more an issue of why are we here? If you've been here for 20 years, you don't look at it the same way as the snowbirds or the people who chose to move here, because we came down and visited and said, oh my word, this is absolutely gorgeous. We never see colors like this. We bring our friends and family down here and they say, you get a sunset like this every night? And those are the pictures that go home. Those are the pictures that get shipped off. Those are the postcard pictures. And
that copper in the evening, and it changes.
yeah, and
I remember the static that we got with the Kachina downtown. And I remember you were in on some of those discussions, weren't you? The Kachina. Yes. I remember the static we got with the dog park.
We'll always get static.
That was a fun one. we do have to keep in mind what the public is going to think of it. Because we want something that the public can point to and go, that's our mural, that's us, that is Apache Junction. And I mean, unfortunately, you know, my wife's an artist, and a lot of her stuff doesn't sell out here because people go, that's East Coast New York crap. You know, you want them to see our Southwest desert, our Central desert, and our mountains in the area. And I think with a 350-foot wall mural, that is gonna be something that is definitely gonna stand out. And that that's a picture postcard waiting to happen. And
Now,
I can also see a lot of the photographers I know selling photos of that picture at the art shows.
will there be a sidewalk along the mural, or is it going to be inaccessible?
The sidewalk is just slightly detached from Tomahawk.
Okay, so it's a distance.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, yeah.
The Gabion
You're
structure
there.
is between the sidewalk and the
You're
mural?
there, you're just,
Okay.
they just need to talk
The
about it.
wall that the mural will be on, then it'll step out flat for 3, 4, 5 feet, and then drop down a Gabion retaining wall 4 or 5 feet, and then roll out flat for 60 feet.
Okay, so nobody will be able to get really up close to it. They'll all be long distance.
So it won't be like pictures right on 88 where people stop and take pictures of.
It's more from far
when they're
away.
visiting,
Mhm.
yeah.
We always kind of thought of it as this is going to be a mural that's going to be seen by people walking down Tomahawk or biking or driving, not walking right up to it.
And they're going to be getting off of 60 and driving up towards the mountains on
And that's one of
Tomahawk.
the things we've considered as our commission is how is the work gonna be seen by people? We don't want things where people are gonna stop in the middle of the road and cause accidents. This is actually very well, you know, they'll be able to pull over, take a picture of it, see it, or they can get out and walk along it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
On Broadway, there's a big area for parking, so people can park
Yeah.
where that nursing home. And I drive by every day for the construction. It'll be protected because there's like a ditch, rocks. And people, I don't think they're going to try to walk into there, so they'll be protected. So yeah.
Up till today,
Not easy to walk on either.
Up till today, I've driven that Tomahawk up to Highway 8 every week for 4 years. And that would be great to see that mural as I go up that road.
Light years better than the stink net that was there last year.
I think you've done a good job with your mock-ups and thinking about our area. It's a great idea, the way you've got the details in some parts and then the more graphic. It almost, gives your eye a rest. You know, there's something to look at that's busy. And because it is such a long space, you don't want it so busy because
It just-
just get lost.
You just get lost, and then I want to be able to
Absolutely
focus on
lost.
the little areas.
Design overall is very strong. The only criticism it seems like we have for you is, and constructive criticism, I don't mean that in, we say that in art, when we say criticism, we mean
I
it
love
in
a good
way that
good
is
critique.
come with kindness and, is just that you were using in your mock-up, you pulled some mountains that represented Arizona, threw them in there, and we just want ours, big deal. That's easy fix, like you said. And other than that, would come down to maybe some color choices or something. That we do like your blue mountains down below, but obviously your strongest design is the first one. And that's a
would
recap
agree.
of what I heard everybody say. You
I,
guys good with that?
I
You
agree
feel
with that.
That was,
Yeah,
There's beautiful colors. Like,
it
it's so
really
bright.
is our mountains. Now,
And I like the idea of even adding the cactuses kind of along the way too. I find that I think the cactuses, like going kind of along the way on the blue, I think it would just get lost and wouldn't make sense.
yeah.
You're the landscape engineer. Are you gonna put cactus in that flat area?
No, it's going to be closer to the sidewalk. We actually can't put any landscape or irrigation in that drainage easement.
Okay.
Mostly in the front.
But there will be cactus closer to the sidewalk, between the wall and the sidewalk.
Well, the sidewalk is, do you want to go to the site, can we go back to
Yes.
the site plan?
Oh, back to, wait. Right there?
Well, you can see it actually there in
Yeah.
that rendering.
See how far away it is?
So that person in the bottom right is standing out on the sidewalk.
Okay.
And that's to scale.
So now where will the landscaping, the cactus
Right
or
here.
whatever be?
Right there, right where that mouse's arrow is pointing.
Okay.
And the
Oh,
rest
okay.
is all drainage for weeks.
Yeah, that's going to what I was thinking.
That'd be cool.
And what we're gonna do is once this mural lands wherever it's gonna land, I'm gonna come back in and work the landscape plan so it makes sense with the mural. 'Cause we do have a few little pockets of trees, and then we'll have saguaros and ocotillo and cholla and that sort of thing. And then we'll make it kind of blend and work so it all feels like it was designed
Okay,
together.
because my wife painted a mural. My wife's an artist, she painted a mural in our backyard against our back wall. And knowing that I'm gonna put flower beds there with some tall flowers and plants, she laid it out so that the plants on the wall complemented the plants that I'm growing in the garden. And so it really gives a nice 3D foreground, midground, and background effect when you look out the window. It's a 3D depth instead of just having a wall painted, with my flowers and plants. You got a lot of depth there, and I think that's a cool approach, Paige.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you have concerns about the wash?
Do I have concerns about the wash?
Yeah, and I mean, well, I understand. Let me put it this way. There was, I live near that and we watched that wash blow stuff out, and I've seen engineers and people come in and build walls and say, oh no, it'll be fine. And then we watch them fall down again as soon as the water comes through. So I can see from an engineering point that that's going to be a challenge, and that you probably have thought a lot of things through, but Mother Nature can sometimes surprise us. So again, it's putting the wall in a place where it is a possibility that a flood could undermine it, or come in underneath it, and parts of it could be impacted, or it could be damaged by flooding. Even though you might have spent millions of dollars and had brought lots of engineers in, because like I said, I've seen it. My neighbor did it, and he had and he brought in rock, brought in all this stuff, dug the wash out, spent hundreds of dollars on this thing, and we said, okay, and then that summer it rained, and we all stood out there watching the wall fall down. It just got
It only
eaten
rains
alive by the power of the
three times a
water.
year here, but it all falls in the same afternoon.
Yeah.
And Weeks Wash becomes a raging river.
It is a really, it's a concerning wash.
So to be clear, I'm not a civil engineer, so I didn't have any
Right.
design
Yeah.
responsibility on that drainage structure. But as a landscape architect who sees it, the main drainage actually goes through the middle of the project.
Uh-huh.
This is an overflow drainage
Oh,
on this side. If you look at the main drainage that goes through the middle, it's like a canyon. I mean, it's massive. This side,
Yeah.
and keep in mind the wall is up at, finished floor.
Is this-
the buildings.
Is this the wall that this is the main drain right here?
Yeah, so
I've learned so well about
Okay.
building.
got it.
blue icon in
Oh,
the
I
middle
see.
there,
Yep,
Right.
down, it
that's
goes
actually
down
the
that
main
way.
wash channel, and that's
Gotcha.
what you see flooded. And then what it does is it comes in from the north, it wraps around along Broadway,
Uh-huh.
and then turns the corner and then heads down Tomahawk. But that's more.
And then it comes down that way too.
Okay.
Joel, out of curiosity, do you remember the time frame for the Weeks Wash retention?
I know they're working on it the other further up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's at least,
Yeah.
it's at least 5, maybe longer, because there's a funding issue.
Okay.
So it's going to be a while. I think it's a minute, I think the city engineer said 5 years.
Okay, thank you. So as long as we don't get massive monsoons in the next 5
Yeah.
years,
Every 11 years. What's that? The 11-year flood.
Anybody else have any questions for, any more questions for?
I think it's a terrific idea.
I'm not an artist, so I think it all looks amazing. But I love what they were saying, and I think that's really true. Living out here, I loved the javelina because every night we chase them out of our yard. My only thought too is maybe do a quail somewhere in there. They are everywhere, and I don't know if I'm going to let them build their nests again this year. in my planters because it's
The- the-
stressful.
The quail might have to be a little bit oversized.
I
for
don't
you to be
know.
able to see it, because Javelina's got a pretty decent.
Yeah, he
mass,
does.
whereas
But
the quail is.
the
well, quail is
hummingbird-
not
Or
really
like
large.
I even have a Gila monster like over here. Like
yeah,
he's like,
I think oversized you're gonna have to
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
people
I
are
like
looking
that
at
you
it from a
think-
distance.
Well, that's a
Not
6 foot.
realistic perspective
Yeah.
of the
Oh, yeah.
size.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Lena
It's a
there.
mural.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
definitely.
could do like a quail. Like I can just like for instance, like maybe like take a hummingbird out and maybe add the quail. Like I'm open to those
Yeah,
I-
well, they look
interpretations.
great. Yeah.
I also love quails too, or a roadrunner too.
We have
Everybody
a
loves
road
the
runner by
Roadrunner,
us.
and I'm gonna ask you to represent, and you can come over to my house and we can sketch them together if you'd like, a donkey.
A donkey. Yeah, you
You
want
and your donkeys.
They
She-
are a
she's the
big
don- she's the
part
donkey
of our
queen of Apache
Southwest.
Junction.
I am a donkey advocate.
Well, donkeys are pretty.
And they are a big part of the Southwest. They really were workhorses with our, or workhorses. They helped us so much with the mining. And the reason that a lot of them are running wild is because they were here as workers and then were let loose. And of course, we've got the Lost Dutchman had his donkey, so.
Now, the more I look at this, the more I notice there is something missing.
Uh-oh.
buzzards.
Here we go.
Buzzer.
Yeah, we got buzzards.
Every time I drive up one of the back roads in
There
this
are a
area,
lot of
there's
buzzards.
always buzzards. Buzzards having lunch in the middle of the street.
There's a lot of
But
wildlife.
that may not
to
be
choose
doable.
from.
Well,
You're the artist. here.
just throw carrion on the road periodically. You'll get the buzzards nearby
The
anyway.
coyotes.
That'll work.
But it
I love the
looks
gift
great.
monster.
Any other questions from the commission? I mean,
Nope,
Excuse me.
option number 1 is beautiful, and if she puts the mountains, that'll be great.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's
Easy
just
fix.
perfect. That'll be perfect.
okay, I guess it's time for the public portion of our hearing. I will now open the public portion of the hearing. Does anyone from the public wish to speak? Please come forward. I don't see anybody here, so I don't see a public portion tonight. I will now close the public portion of the hearing. I'm just following this neat little script she gives me here. Keeps me straight. Is there any other discussion from the commissioners? Okay, I believe, Rudy, there's a motion we need to look at?
If the commission wants to go ahead and word their thoughts of what they would like to see when Paige takes her presentation to the city council, we can certainly do that. You can make your motion. We have a draft motion for you. You can, reword it as you see fit. And with, like I said, and the conditions of approval could be, work in superstition or local mountain motif, use a combination of the blue with the desert scenes in between, however you feel best to convey your wishes for this artwork.
Okay, well, I guess then we need to determine which options we like, 1, 2, or 3. I didn't see a fourth option there. 1, 2, or 3, or a combination of 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah,
with
1
the
or 2.
adjustments with the
I
suggestions
think
we
it's
made
1 and
here.
2, the combination.
So it looks like we're down between 1 and 2. Do we need to vote on that, Rudy, or?
Yes, you should make a formal recommendation to the council, yeah.
So,
Unless you want to continue it to see a revised concept, you can do that too.
What do you think, guys?
I don't know what the timing for the developer is, but.
Yeah, what's your time frame for wanting this done?
Their main timeframe is they want to build the wall.
Okay.
And they can't build the wall until the mural is approved. Because if the mural isn't approved, then we're obligated to do theme wall,
Okay.
which is a more expensive wall construction type. The mural's approved, then they can build the dually wall, which would then is a more cost-efficient wall construction.
Okay, Rudy, well, we only meet once a month.
Yeah.
If we approve these 2 tentative designs with her additions, how are we gonna see what her final picture looks like? Or do we wait and see until they present it to the council?
Yeah, it would be,
When
Yeah.
is it scheduled to be
it
presented?
hasn't been scheduled yet. It hasn't been scheduled yet.
And if we
Or
approve it
Erica?
tonight,
Hasn't? No, it hasn't, no, it hasn't. But it would probably go to council, next month.
So what I'm looking here is a time frame for approval. Do we have time to give her, to see her final design, give a final approval on it before it goes to council?
How much
Without,
time would you
without
need
messing up their
for,
timetable.
to do another mock-up?
Well, most of this is just doing slight changes, so I am willing to work as quickly as possible on this, so 2 weeks max, if that, maybe a week.
Mr. Joel, Mr. Chairman, I don't see an issue with having another special meeting in a couple of weeks. As long as we post
As long as
it.
it's posted, you could have a special meeting. You could pick a different day too if you want.
I kind of like that option.
Yeah.
Everybody's good with it.
Especially
I would
because we
like to
missed
see,
last month.
I would like to see her final design before we give the okay to take it to council.
Okay, you can do that. Continue for 2 weeks. Joel, you usually have your calendar with you.
Yeah.
Is 2 weeks from now and a Monday good?
Rudy, paper calendar, see? Still
Yeah.
have it. Still have it. So 2 weeks. Sorry, that's a inside joke.
So
2
that would
weeks.
be
The 25th.
25th?
Calendar too.
I do know
You know,
that
um,
Health and Human Services meets on the 25th.
Oh, you're right. We haven't, our Health
Yeah.
and Human Services meeting is on the 25th. Now, we meet at,
how about the 27th? It's a Wednesday.
5:30? Is that a Wednesday or a Thursday?
The 27th is a Wednesday. You want to do that at, you pick the time too. If you're going to have a special meeting, you may as well pick the time. Do you want to make it earlier?
I'm trying to remember, we're down
Earlier
to
is
one
harder.
car, and I'm trying to remember what my wife has for that week.
Would April 1st be, I'll look at Monday, or no? Like from 3 weeks from now?
April 1st is probably a city council work.
That is a city council
Yeah.
work session.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta fit this into the existing calendars,
How about April 3rd?
which is what day?
Well, what-
That's a Wednesday?
The 27th, what's wrong with that? You just need a lift?
I'm not sure if I can make that. I'm gonna say go ahead and let's do it.
Mhm.
Let's pick the 27th,
27th?
because I really don't think she has a meeting that week. I think hers is the second Wednesday of the month.
I might have a little difficulty. It's my one time. My mom comes from out of town.
Oh.
Unless
Okay.
And actually, I
unless
might
she
be
really
gone.
enjoys this. So I would say April 3rd. But my
April
mom's
3rd.
not here locally, so it's very important to spend time with her too.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I know.
What was your other suggestion, Joel?
April
So s-
3rd was the other
April
one?
3rd?
Which is
That would
a-
actually work better.
That's a Wednesday.
April 3rd, that
That's
sounds-
the
April
first
3rd's a
Wednesday of the
Wednesday.
month.
Yes.
What
I have a
time?
meeting on the first Tuesday of the month. Yeah, that'll work.
Do you want to go
5:30.
5:30 or
Can-
what time do you want? Since it's a special meeting, do you want to pick the time?
5:30 is okay with me.
That's the volunteer appreciation dinner out at the museum.
What time?
And since I'm volunteer coordinator, I
You
kind
better
of,
make that one,
I
yeah.
have to,
Well, we only need to have 4 people if somebody else just
I mean-
can't make it, too.
it-
What time?
would 6 o'clock work?
6 could
Ju-
work.
Just to
6
give me a
would
little
work for
bit
me.
of a buffer?
Later than early,
6 would work for me.
Yeah.
as long as people can get home from work.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
That'd be
Yeah.
April,
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Thank
sounds.
you.
Okay.
that'd be
So 6
Wednesday, April
p.m.
3rd.
I just finished
6
abusing all
o'clock?
the volunteers, so I don't want to vanish.
I'm
And
okay
we
with
call
that.
it a special meeting.
Right. Is that enough time, Rudy, for,
Yes.
for it to get announced and posted and
We,
everything?
we just need to post it, so we're good.
Okay.
We're good, okay.
Yeah, I think with the new commission, we probably want to make sure we approve something that we've seen before we send it to council.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way.
And then I think our plan is once we get the wall, once we're going into the hot summer, we'll probably wait until the fall to start that mural. Is that
To
correct?
actually-
Yeah,
To actually do it, okay.
yeah. And it's not just.
But they want to have it, they want to have the approval for the mural before they can build the wall. Because that'll determine what kind of wall they build. Okay. Yeah, I've got a couple scars from some of the battles we've had over public art in this town, so I'd really like to make sure that we see the final design before we bless it.
I agree. Perfect.
Okay.
So just to get clarification, we want to make sure that we have more mountains that are local to this area. Which mountains do you exactly want again?
Superstitions and four
First, okay. Is there other ones?
Well,
Well, so
That's the two for me.
if we're
It's not so
doing
much-
the rolling hills, Can they more resemble the gold fields?
The
since
gold fields?
Gold
Okay.
fields are kind of rolling hills.
And then there's, so it would be the Superstition Mountains, but there's landmarks on that mountain.
Yep.
Like the Praying Hands, the Flatiron.
Weaver's
You want to
Needle.
explore more of
Typically, a
those.
silhouette will show those without going into detail. I mean,
And
I've even painted those myself.
Yeah.
and then maybe another color choice option too as well with the
Well, I think everybody
colors
likes,
on the sides.
I think
all
everybody
like
likes the
that.
colors on the
Mhm.
top, on option one, but we like the blue,
For the
a touch of
mountains.
blue for the mountains. Maybe the background mountains could be blue,
Mhm.
and then you go with the color choice in the,
Okay.
option one
Yeah.
color choice in the front.
Honestly, the Four Peaks tend to be more of a blue than
Yeah, that would
colors.
be like great for the
Yeah.
Four Peaks, or if you're doing like.
Well, even the
silhouette
supers,
things.
even the supers in a blue highlight would look
Yep,
nice.
that silhouette.
Okay,
Are,
perfect.
are we causing you too much heartburn, Paige?
No, I probably will give you a variety of options, not just one. I'll probably give about another 3 to 4 options to kind of work from.
Cool.
And then, are you,
I
oh,
was just gonna show real quick, this is just a drone photo I took out there with the site in the foreground, and you can see the Four Peaks.
Yeah.
Yep, you got Four Peaks over to the left, and you got our mountain right there.
Mhm.
That looks good.
yeah, Tim, can you just forward that again to me?
Weaver's Needle is another
And a
one.
sunset.
And
Oh, yeah.
some of these have some
Sunset
sunsets
colors.
right here, especially right here.
Hey, at least we're not asking for the cougar.
Yeah, you do. You have a sunset.
And then,
I've drive, I know the whole thing, the whole area.
Yeah, we don't need the cougar.
and then, just so I have my notes, because I didn't write these all down, when will these be posted online? Don't we have a online of these, or no?
No,
The,
no.
the meeting itself is being video recorded, and the meetings are usually posted within a day.
Okay, perfect,
The
perfect,
minutes that we draft
So you
up are,
could-
tend to be very basic.
perfect, awesome, thank you. 'Cause
So if the public wants to see these pictures, they could go, in the next day or two, they could go online
Yes.
and look at the video
Yes.
before we work on them. And if anybody has heartburn, they can do a public hearing that night.
Yep.
Mhm. Okay, so I guess that's the action we're taking is we're tabling it.
Motion to continue?
Motion to continue until April 3rd?
Do we have a second?
I second.
Rudy, roll call?
Commissioner Meek,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithson.
Yes.
Chairman Danford,
Yes.
Vice Chair Klett,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanza.
Yes.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we move on. There's no old business to discuss. There's no new business to discuss.
Nope.
Do we have any information and reports?
None
from,
this evening,
Rudy?
Mr. Chairman.
What's it?
No, other than we are making progress on the other art projects, the art wrap, the banners at the library, and the window treatments for the multi-gen.
Okay.
That call to artists should be going out here hopefully within the next week.
We hope so. We just finalized the draft today,
Yeah,
this morning.
yeah, so
Have
we
we
want to get
selected
that out.
the committee that's going to be reviewing those?
Not
No, it's a call
officially.
for artists.
No, I mean
So
our,
the committee.
our community.
Oh, yes.
Panel.
Our committee that's going to.
Not officially. We have not officially yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and that we call for artists will probably be out for like 4 weeks.
Okay. Do we have any items we'd like to cover at future meetings? Nope. In that case, I'm going to adjourn at 6:38 p.m.